Welcome to My Time to Shine. I'm your host, Emily. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It's so exciting.
How are you doing today, Katie?
Yeah, good, thank you. All good, thank you. Just
Yeah.
had a busy morning, been to clinic, but fine now. Ready to speak to
Ready?
you.
Ready to
Have a
go?
nice chat.
Yeah. Could you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Katie. I'm a mum of two, and I'm a musculoskeletal and women's health physio. I've worked in the NHS for over 10 years. I work, and now my main passion is to look after mums postnatally. Because I just really feel like we get so much support antenatally and when we're pregnant, and then that just goes out the window because, quite rightly, everything is focused on the baby. But yeah, my absolute passion is just looking after mums postnatally because there's so much we can do for them and just to help them recover.
What is it that you do to help them recover?
So I work obviously as a women's health physio and I'm a Mummy MOT practitioner. So all of that basically means is I see women, well, I see them pregnant as well, or I see them after they've had a baby. Um, and so many different things. It depends, on the birth they've had or what their concerns are. But they'll come and see me, we'll have a chat, we'll go through kind of their goals and what their concerns are, we'll have a chat about their birth. And a lot of the time, we're sitting there kind of having a really kind of long chat about their birth because they haven't been able to have that debrief yet. So many women, think that their 6 week check is this be all and end all of I'm going to get signed off, I'm going to have all these different things. And it doesn't work like that because a lot of the time the 6 week check is, and partly because GPs don't have time to do it, obviously, and also they're not trained to do it. That's so the 6 week check really should have a physio involved as well, to focus on kind of the mum and the because lots of people want to go there thinking they're going to have a diastasis check or their C-section check. Or I mean, my 6 week check, I had my first baby during COVID, and my I had an emergency C-section. I lost 3 liters of blood, and my 6 week check was on the telephone. And I was just like, what? So yeah, it was insane. I appreciate, we were halfway through COVID, but still, it was crazy. So yeah, so we mums come, we kind of just do whatever they want to do, really. We can have a diastasis check, we can have a scar check, whether that's a
Yeah.
C-section, a episiotomy. Um, we assess the pelvic floor if the mum wants to. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and that's fine. And then we go through their goals, their functional movements, and put a plan together to help them recover post-birth, really.
Oh wow, that's so important. I think
Yeah,
I wish I knew about this when I had my first son because I had a forceps in the end and an episiotomy, and
yeah,
there's so much damage done down there.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was saying to you before, you've inspired me to book in for a mummy MOT. Can you tell people more what is a mummy MOT and what does that involve?
Yeah, so similarly to what I've just said, so
Yeah.
so you basically come we'll have like a long chat about your birth and then do a full assessment, a functional assessment, and like pelvic floor assessment, scar, anything that we
Mhm.
talk about your birth, anything that happened during your birth, and then we'll put a rehab plan in place. And you so again, like I saw a post the other day on a group that there's so much not misinformation out there, but lack of education, and that is so important to me that we start educating mums because some people think that well, I saw a post that said it was in the C-section group and it said, I've just had a baby. I just had an emergency C-section. Can I take my baby to the park and take her to with the buggy to the park? I only really need to get out. And someone posted on there. no, you're not allowed to push your buggy for 6 to 8 weeks. And I was like, no, what are you saying? Like, you absolutely can, and you have to. And this is the thing: there is
Yeah.
no information after mums have a C-section. And like, yes, you've got to be careful. Yes, you're still recovering. Yes, there is, it takes 6 weeks for tissues to heal. Well,
Mm.
longer than that sometimes, and especially if you've had an infection. But 6 weeks is kind of a good ballpark, and that's why. They always say you've got to wait 6 weeks for lots of different things, but mums still have to look after their babies.
Yeah.
And dads go back after 2 weeks. Some mums don't have dads around, and so you have to be able to look after this baby. So you can't not do anything for 6 weeks. And plus, mums don't want to necessarily stay inside for 6 weeks. They have to get out for their mental health. Well, I certainly did. I don't know about other people, but I know a lot of people kind of do like want to rest and stay in, and that's fine. But for me, I had to get out for my mental health. I was I like, no straight. I went straight from this is probably a bit extreme, but I went straight from having an emergency C-section into M&S straight away. And my other half, like still says to me, like, the day you left hospital, we went to M&S, and he was like, what is wrong with you? And I was just like, I know that's probably a bit extreme, but
Wow.
I just had to get out. So, like, mums need to learn how to look after their bodies and how to repair and
Yeah.
how to heal. And that information just isn't out there. And there's a lot, yeah, so much fear mongering as well, which
Yeah,
is not great.
there really is. Did you find, because you have two children, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you find it was better with your second? Were you more prepared? Did you learn anything from the first time round, or was it the same? Or
Yeah, I don't know who saw my post yesterday, but I put which is probably a bit controversial, but that I think hypnobirthing sets mums up to fail.
yeah, love
Because I
that.
think it does in some ways. Like, I love hypnobirthing, and I um I did hypnobirthing with my first, and it got me in the place it needed to be. But it didn't prepare me for after.
Yeah,
And I know that's not what it's supposed to do, but it sets you it gives you this kind of false feeling that we can just breathe babies out and everything's going to be fantastic. And like, the stars have to align for that to
yeah,
happen. Like, fantastic if it can happen, but the stars have to align. And that's fine. And if it doesn't, then we need to prepare for what happens after. We need to prepare to how to heal our bodies after. Um, and so I think the second time, so the first time it was good because I did all the hypnobirthing. Did the post birth company. Read the books, and it was fantastic. And it really got me, because I was terrified of birth before that, and it got me from being terrified of birth to wanting a home birth.
yeah,
Um, and which is glad I didn't, because both of us probably wouldn't be here now. But yeah, so and then so I went from that to kind of the first time, which was good because I became empowered, I became knowledgeable, I understood my body, I
yeah,
understood what I needed to do to give birth. I went into um, spontaneous labour
yeah,
um, naturally, and so I kind of understood like what was happening to me then. But then from a recovery point of view, definitely the second time, my recovery, I feel, was so much better, um, because I was much more knowledgeable about it. I kind of knew the first time in some ways, because obviously I do it for a living,
yeah,
but from my recovery the second time was definitely better. Um, I was still, because I had an emergency C-section the first time, I was still really unsure about, I wanted to try for a VBAC for the second time. And that was still that kind of anxiousness of,
mm,
um, are they coming? Aren't they coming?
yeah,
That was quite stressful the second time. The first time I was more relaxed in that it'll happen when it happens. Whereas the second time I felt like I knew there was kind of like a ticking clock timer,
Mm,
because I 100% wasn't being induced
mm,
the second time, because obviously I went through that emergency C-section.
yeah.
But so I needed to kind of, I had that C-section date in for the second time, and but I still really wanted to try for the VBAC first, as well. So that kind of was a bit more stressful,
Did you
but the
manage to get the
recovery
V
was
back
different.
or?
No, I
Oh,
didn't. But it was a good thing, because there was so I my elective C-section ended up being quite traumatic as well,
oh,
because
bless you.
and I lost 2 liters of blood and
Oh,
ended up in HDU,
goodness
because
me.
my first one was, there was so much scar tissue from the
Oh,
first one that we I had to have a C-section and use forceps to get her out, because she
goodness
was
me.
stuck in her sister's scar tissue.
Oh,
But
God.
yeah, it was great. What about yours? How were your births?
Oh my goodness, mine. So the first one was similar. It was forceps. It was like a 3 day labor. I did not eat or drink for 3 days. I didn't sleep for 3 days. And by the end of the 3 days, I was planning a home birth. My legs were so swollen. I was really dehydrated. I just had nothing left to give. So I was very close to having an emergency C-section, but because of my husband, he was like, "Can you just wait 10 more minutes?" And they agreed. It was like an episiotomy with a forceps, and it was very traumatic. The only positive thing I can take away is that I got a lot of support with breastfeeding. And
Yeah.
then I learned a lot about it. Because of that, I became obsessed with like what was my contribution to that birth. I think I started too early. I didn't eat or drink. So what could I take away from that to bring into my
Yeah.
next baby? And the next
Yeah.
one, I actually had a free birth at home. And it was,
Amazing.
yeah, it was just in the ward. We had a birth pool in our living room. My son and husband were there, and it was incredible. It was orgasmic.
Yeah.
I went from
Empowering and beautiful.
literally, I went from having a very traumatic birth and postpartum to an orgasmic, beautiful. I felt like a goddess. I
Yeah.
brought him
Amazing. And it
myself.
was healing for you, and that's so
So
good.
healing. And postpartum, I would say I rested more. I did like
Mm.
a 30 days traditional inside postpartum.
Yeah.
So I didn't go out, whereas the first one I did go out and it was just, oh, I was
Yeah.
scared someone was going to steal my baby.
Yeah. Yeah. But how did you find that, staying at home for 30 days, like with your toddler? And was it fine? Was it
I
good?
had a lot of support. So my family roped in, they took my toddler out, they bought me Meals on Wheels. Like everyone was involved in this postpartum.
Amazing.
It was
And that is
incredible.
how what it was like in the kind of like the
Yeah,
traditional days,
absolutely.
and that is how it was. But people
Yeah,
don't get that these days in the modern
no,
society, and like it's a combination of so many things. It's a combination of um how society is this day. We don't, like, everyone always talks about the village, but we don't have a village. Like
no.
it's it everyone is kind of having to do their own thing and survive in their own families,
Yeah,
and everyone is so far away from each other a lot of the time as
yeah,
well. And it can be so tricky to have that recovery and that kind of closed escape, like that
yeah.
space that you need to recover these days. And I feel like there is so much pressure either way.
Mhm.
And so, like, you see, whatever you do nowadays on social media, there's people saying you have to have these 40 days at home and you have to rest, or you
Yeah,
have to be up and bouncing back straight away. And actually, like, whatever is for that individual is
yeah,
what is most important, and whatever fits in with your circumstances as well. I like, everyone is really different. And I think for me, mentally, I couldn't have stayed at home either. Like, I know my other half wanted to take my toddler out to go and
mm,
see his brother with her cousin, just to give me a rest. And I was like, no, I want to come. And I was only like 3 days. And that's because I didn't want my toddler thinking that this new baby's come
mm,
and I'm not being involved in her life now, because she was
yeah.
like, we were best friends. It was just me and her. and then this baby comes along, and I don't want her to feel that all of a sudden, because I was in HDU, so I was in hospital for a day extra than expected,
Oh,
um, and so I didn't want her to think that I wasn't there. But that's what I mean. So I think whatever the postpartum journey is, it has
mhm.
to be down to that individual
Yeah.
and the support um and just what that person wants. But they still need to know how to recover, whether you stay at home
Yeah.
for 40 days or whether you are out in a few days. Like,
Hmm.
you still need to know how to look after your body, how to heal your body, what's happened to your body. Like, when you've had a C-section or like injury, like even if you have the most amazing vaginal birth, you still have an injury.
Mm.
Um, your placenta's come away. There's going to be scar. There's going to be grazing and some even minor tears. So there's still going to be wound healing, and you need to be having kind of 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, and most people don't know that. And like what, like hydration as well. You know, a lot of people think that you need to be drinking all the water you can, but actually,
Mm.
when you've had a baby and suddenly you're drinking loads and loads of water, your bladder can become distended. So it's about balance, and it's about understanding your body and knowing what happens to your body um,
There's a lot
during that
that
postpartum phase as well.
Yeah, there's a lot that you don't even consider, you know. I
Yeah.
think it's very important to share this with women. What inspired you to get started? I know you said you worked for the NHS before. What was the turning point that you were like, right, I can do this, I can start my own business. Why is this important?
Yeah, so many things really. So I think I've obviously worked in the NHS before, and I worked
Mm.
in women's health for a while in the NHS, and then I moved over to musculoskeletal to understand kind of the musculoskeletal side a bit more. And then I was always teaching antenatal and postnatal Pilates, and I loved kind of helping mums through that journey. And then obviously I had my own children, and saw the lack of care and support postnatally, and I think that really it 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 lit something inside of me, was like, this is it, this is what I want to do. This is my calling.
Yeah.
And I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial side. Like growing up, it was just me and my mum. When I was younger, she had me when she was 18. We kind of like living day to day. Um, and it was kind of like we were kind of in survival mode a bit. I kind of grew up with her because she was 18 when she had me. Um, I still saw my dad, but he obviously wasn't around, but he had that. I kind of get my entrepreneurial side from him because he was a bit more of a Del boy, kind of like a little bit into everything. Um, and then and so I moved away when I was 18, kind of, and I just needed to survive on my own and do my own thing. And I worked in the corporate world for 10 years before I went back to university to
Oh,
study
wow.
physio. Yeah, which was amazing, and I loved that. And it was at the time, um, my dad died when I was 19, and that
Right.
kind of hit me quite hard. And so I was kind of just like out quite a lot, and
Wow.
it was a kind of like a throughout the childhood, and then the early like 20s was a bit of a blur, because like with my mum and then my dad passing away, it was all kind of a bit crazy. And then I just I just feel like my other half, he's a bit similar, and he says that he's an island, and I feel like we're a kind of like an island together, and like we're just kind of like we both into so many different businesses, and we just want to survive, and not survive, we want to thrive. We want
That's
to
it.
give our yeah we want to give
Right.
our family the best the best life we can, because he came from kind of like a similar background as well. And we want to give our families like I always grew up thinking I want that kind of like 2.4 family children, I always used to say. And like, yeah, so we both have that kind of fire inside of us that we want to do build businesses. So between us we've got quite a few different businesses. So
Oh,
he's got his own business. um Between us we run another toy business. With my one of my friends I have a travel business,
wow.
and then I also have my physio business. So between us, like, we do lots of different things, and we want to teach our children as well, and you get it because you home educate your children, but we want to teach our children the entrepreneurial side and just life really.
Yeah.
um and so, yeah, so then, like, because I've
Wow.
always got that kind of like entrepreneurial fire within inside of me, that and then having the kind of physio, the experience postnatally, like for me, that was
Yeah.
it all kind of combined together. And that's,
Wow.
yeah, my absolute passion and my sole mission is to try and revolutionize postnatal care. And
Oh,
well, yeah, and yeah, of all the other businesses that I do, but that is my absolute sole passion, because it just means so much to be able to help mum. And they're like, they're s- their worst times, they are
mhm.
not the worst times, they're their best times, but also it can be their terrified and
Yeah.
lonely and, oh my God, what am I doing times. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. You sound incredibly busy. How do you manage
yeah,
all that? Like, do you have to plan ahead? Like, how do you balance all of
yeah, I
your
don't know.
how do you do it?
I don't know. I'm not. I have no idea. Yeah, I saw a post the other day, and I saw someone say something as well the other day, that a couple of things. One, I feel like someone said, like, to somebody else, like, how do you balance everything? And
Mhm.
it isn't a case of, um oh yeah, I've got everything balanced
Mhm.
perfectly. There are times when you, I, you mums can have it all, but they
Mhm.
can't have it all, I don't think, at the same time. So, and
Yeah.
but it depends on what your all is. Like, because they say, oh, you can't have it all, and like, yes, we blooming well can. We absolutely can. Like, come on. But it's about having them, like, balance. Things will always fall. If you've got, if you're having to focus on one area, then
Mhm.
another side is going to slowly fall off. And it's about kind of, before getting to that ball before it drops too low, and then getting to the other side. You're never going to be able to make everything 100% perfect all
Mhm.
at the same time, but you can balance it all throughout the journey. It's about, one point you're focusing on one thing, what something else is going to sacrifice a little bit, but then you'll come
Yeah.
back to that and make that bit amazing again while another little bit drops off. So, yeah, and for me, it's fulfilling for having to have a business, but also I want to spend
Mhm.
time, valuable time with my children, because they, as you know, they grow up so, so fast, and I want to be a part of their life, their education, we are their childhood memories.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure they're amazing for them and for me, because they're my memories as well. Um, but I also want them to see that, you can build a successful career,
Mhm.
you can do something good in the world.
Yeah.
Um and with one of our business, we try and get them to be a little bit a part of it as well, to teach
Yeah.
them bits and stuff. And my Friday, so my Fridays are my day where I really try and switch off completely and focus, obviously, on, and then the weekend as well. But my Fridays are kind of mine and the kids' days, the girls, and I really try and focus on them. And then
Mhm.
in the week, they know that it's kind of a balance between them and work as well.
Do you home educate your kids or do they go to school
No,
or
so I do. So they're not at school at the moment.
yeah.
They're 4 and 2.
Oh.
Um, I know, and I'm in that, toying with the idea, and I would desperately love to, and I may still.
Mhm.
Um, I have applied for flexi schooling. Have you heard of flexi schooling?
Yeah, yeah. Tell us more about
Yeah.
what that is, though, for people who don't know.
Yeah, so flexi schooling is it's still full-time education, but
Yeah,
it's where you your child goes to a school setting for
yeah.
a certain amount of time agreed by you and the school, and then you educate your child the rest of the time. So it's not that they go to school part-time, that is not what it is. It's that they are fully educated, but a point between you and the school. So, but yeah, there's obviously a lot of tightening up of different rules and things at the moment. So,
Yeah.
and that is a very school per school thing. So we will
Mhm.
see what happens with that, and
Ooh.
whether we flex school, whether we full-time school, or whether we home educate, we're still undecided.
Exciting times ahead. I think,
I know.
you can always change your mind as well. Like, there's never a set decision of,
Yeah.
"Right, I'm doing that, and
Yeah.
that's what you have to do forever and ever." You can always
Mm,
change. Um,
mm.
do you have a morning routine or an evening routine? Like, are you part of the 5 a.m. club, or do you have certain things that you do?
So I'm trying.
Mhm.
um, but so I would love to be part of the 5 a.m. I've always been much more of a nighttime person
Yeah.
than a morning person. However, that is changing, and I'm trying to change that. And I was going through a stage more earlier, more January, where I was going to bed much earlier and waking up earlier, and so I felt amazing about it. I loved it. I felt really good, and I didn't find it a struggle at all. My trouble is that my nearly 2-year-old does not sleep at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I'm surviving because I haven't had more than an hour in a row in a long time, in forever. Well, 2 years. Feels like forever. And so, and so we did things differently with her. Well, I mean, I co-slept with both of mine, but my other one went into a cot so I started co-sleeping with her, and then she went into a cot at 6 months. Whereas my other one, I kept co-sleeping, and
Oh.
then it got to the point where she would not go into a cot.
Oh.
So she's never been in a cot, and then I tried to give her a bed. Um, and so I thought, oh, if I lay down, I'll give her some milk. I can lay down with her and then she'll go to sleep. So now we do that, but she just gets up and then she just comes into our bedroom.
Oh.
So, and then if I put her back down in her bedroom, she'll get back up again. And then she just feeds off me all night. So, yeah,
Oh.
so I'm in a bit of a situation at the
Are
moment.
you
So, as
breastfeeding
soon,
then?
still, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I did mine till they were like 2.5. So I feel what
yeah.
you're going through. I feel it.
Yeah, so I fed my first until she was 20 months when I was
Mhm.
pregnant with my second, and then I was just like, I need some space.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant, being so sick. And this time my second is 21 months now.
Mhm.
And yeah, she's still feeding, and I need to kind of, it's okay. We'll get there eventually. And then, but yeah, so
Mm.
5 a.m. club, I'd love to be a part of, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
be a part of, but it's not a daily thing because of lack of sleep. Because then, yeah, so she comes in the bed, and I take her back into her room, and then we're going like this, and then she finally falls asleep at 5 a.m. And so I'm
Wow.
like, do I get up now, or do I have an extra hour until my second wakes up? So I love to be part of the 5 a.m. club because you get that kind
Mhm.
of 5 minutes with a cup of tea or to do the things
Yeah.
that you need to do and stuff. I'm really excited for summer and spring,
Mhm.
and for it to be light at those times so I can get up with a cup of tea
Yeah.
and go and sit outside and get that sunlight on my face before anyone wakes up and have a cup of
Oh.
tea with some sunlight. And
Mm.
yeah, well, green tea, that's what I have in the morning.
Green tea. That sounds
Yeah,
divine.
that
Oh,
is
it
my
sounds so
ritual.
nice.
I have a
Yeah.
green tea. My ritual in the morning is a green tea
Mm.
with some lemon juice and some fresh lemon and honey. And then
Mm.
not straight after that, but an hour after that, I'll have my bone broth. Um, And then that really sets me up and gives me enough energy until after lunch that I don't have coffee. I'll have one
Mhm.
coffee a day and it won't be till after lunch because I find when I have my bone broth and my green tea,
Mm.
it gives me so much energy in the morning. So that's
Wow.
my morning ritual.
That sounds so lovely. Do you ever do any journaling or anything? Or, have you ever had a vision board or any visualization practice or anything?
Yeah, so I was in super inspired by your vision board. It looked incredible. But yeah, so I have done a vision board. Not quite as aesthetic as your one. It's more writing. I need to put pictures on it. It's just got my little doodles on it. But yeah,
Oh.
absolutely. I think having a vision board and also so having like especially when you've got multiple businesses or
Mhm.
lots of things going on, I think it's really important to have kind of that plan,
Yeah.
and it's about kind of working backwards. So manifesting in itself is kind of about working backwards, so finding
Mhm.
what your vision is and how you get to that.
Yeah.
So I actually what I did was I wrote down kind of like my 5 year plan. Then I wrote down kind of my three big things that I wanted to happen by the end of the year that will help towards that 5 year plan. And then I broke those three down into monthly things of what I needed to
Mhm.
happen. So it's kind of working backwards from that big goal. So I did a vision board as such, but then I've worked backwards um, from there with my goals and break them all down.
Wow. Do you find that you have to kind of remind yourself, I don't know, like to be accountable for each goal? Because it's so easy to do a plan and then half
Yeah.
the problem is not actually following through with it. How did you do that with your business? How do you follow through with your goals and commitments?
Yeah, I think just writing them down and
Yeah.
make having kind of just really, really focus on breaking them down. And I think one key thing that I need is I need to like if I've got some key things that I need to do in the day, I need like one big thing that I must do, one thing that I want to try and do,
Mhm.
one thing that would be nice to do if I can, but if I can't, don't beat yourself up about it.
Okay.
And then I make sure that my big thing that I have to do gets done.
Mhm.
And then also you don't like there is so much to do with business and children and things,
Yeah.
and it can get really overwhelming and really you can feel that you're failing or that you're not getting enough done. And I find that if I really focus on having that one big thing, then this is my thing that three things that I really should be doing, and
Mhm.
then it'd be great to be able to get to these. And then if I can do that, then I don't feel as um as overwhelmed, but also
Mhm.
it's that kind of dopamine hit, isn't it? That serotonin, like yes, I feel good because I've achieved those things, rather than the opposite narrative of I've got so many things to do and I haven't achieved them. Like really break it down into what you can do and what you
Mhm.
should be doing and just get those done.
Yeah,
I
I
find
think
that really helps.
that's really helpful. I think it's too easy to
Mm,
have a ridiculously long to-do list and then
yeah,
I can't do any
absolutely.
of it.
And
Yeah.
that to-do list is never ending,
No.
and it will never end, and it's endless. So
Hmm.
you really do need to focus on it and break it down.
On your journey, so on sort of the start
Mhm.
of your business, or even now, do you ever get, or did you get imposter syndrome?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, still now even.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, there, especially on social media and things, there's so many people who out there who are doing amazing, and
Yeah.
that is great for women that there are so many good people. And especially in the field that I'm in, is that it is ever evolving, it is ever changing.
Oh, always.
Um, and therefore you will never know it all, and
Mhm.
that's a good thing. And that's why I love what I do, is because you're always learning. And but sometimes then you feel, oh, I don't, yeah, it makes you feel sometimes that you don't know things, and that's fine. And then when you don't know things, you pass on to people who do know. That's the point. But
Yeah.
and then you talk to people who do know those things. But actually, I think I've also, in the last kind of couple of months,
Mhm.
I've also had to, more 6 months, yeah, I've also had to say to myself, no, you do know this and you are experienced, and actually have more faith in yourself. Like, you've got years of experience, you've seen so many women who you've helped, you've got so many
Mhm.
testimonials, you've got so much experience. Like, just have some faith that actually you do know what you're doing. And it's the same with business as well. Like, you see so many people on social media making it and all of these things, and it makes you feel, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, but actually you are. And and
Mhm.
the biggest thing, i've my biggest thing is perfectionism is the biggest killer. Like, and I spent so long before, like, wanting to kind of post videos and things saying, oh, but I just need to lose a little bit of weight, or I need to wait for spring, or I need to do this. And actually you don't. You just need
Mhm.
to get started, and
Yeah.
everyone can do anything. Everybody has a past, everybody has so much knowledge
Mhm.
and history that they've built up over the time. And we just need to stop consuming things and start realizing that actually we've got
Mhm.
so much value for the world. um
Yeah.
and yeah, so I think in the last, I've done Harvard business training and things like that as well. And I think over the last 6 months, I've had a massive, well, probably a year as well, had a massive mindset shift that
Mhm.
actually, um, yeah, we've got so much knowledge in our history, and like, as we go along through our life, that we can help other people with. So yeah.
Yeah, wow. I think that's incredible wisdom that you've gained over the years. I've
Mm,
only just realised this myself as well. I literally went
mm,
through the same thing of like, oh, I don't have a six pack like I used to. I can't possibly
yeah,
share fitness videos or anything online. Like,
yeah,
just ridiculous. Like, there is something
yeah.
for everybody, and people can relate to that. Who
Yeah.
was your biggest source, or what was your biggest source of inspiration on your journey in your life?
Oh, um, I think actually my partner, like, yeah, I think he has really like we just kind of work together so well, and his work ethic is like another level. And he's an amazing dad. Like, I couldn't ask for a better dad. And like, his work ethic, and we just, like, I think we went out for our first child free dinner the other day for my birthday, and it was like a business meeting because we just spent the whole time like planning our like life and our future. And like, we both felt exhausted by the end of it, but actually, like, that is like where we're at, and that's what we do. And we've got these people in our life, and like, we're in our lives because we want to um make our lives better for our children. We want to make the people around us have a better life, like, by helping them, whether it's through physio or other things. So yeah, so he's pretty good.
Oh, that's just gorgeous. Power couple goals right here. Uh,
Pardon?
power couple goals.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we're getting there.
Do you have any self-care routines that you do?
Yeah, so I have very much come away from, you know, it's funny, it used to be all kind of like branded products and all things like that. But I've never really been hugely into kind of like spending hours getting ready or doing skincare routines. But I did use kind of like, skincare brands and things, but I don't anymore. So I have just actually bought some red light therapy. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I have it like right next to me. Incredible.
Love it. Do you love it?
I love it. What kind of thing have you got via the red light? Because
Just
mine is
so
literally a lamp.
Oh, okay. So I bought a mask
Oh,
for bed. Yeah, which I haven't tried yet. So that will hopefully be my new routine. But yeah, so that will be my new routine. And
mm,
I use rosehip oil on my face. That is all I use on my face, and occasionally some castor oil. And it's supposed to be yeah, pretty amazing. It's full of antioxidants and things like that. So I use that. And then my biggest thing is nature. Like when
yeah.
I'm stressed or I need some time, like I just love going outside, taking some deep breaths. My favorite thing in the world is looking at the light on the sea, on the ocean, and like seeing that sun
Mm.
come down onto the ocean and glistening on the waves. That is my all-time favorite thing. I don't know why it's a bit sad, but
No, I'm the
so yeah,
same.
so whenever I yeah, I suppose from a self-care point of view, if you took kind of like from a skincare routine, that was from that point of view, but then from a mental kind of self-care point of view, I like um yeah, going into nature, taking some deep breaths.
Mm.
So I try and obviously as much as I can when with two children, try and get them out as much as it's a battle sometimes. Sometimes they love it, sometimes they don't. I feel like it goes through stages, but try and get them out as much as possible. And the full moon, I'm so into the full moon. I do a ritual. It's my one thing. I do a ritual, like a meditation every full moon, which was last night, I think, was the last was
Yeah.
the full moon.
Mhm.
And I do it every month. And in the summer, I go out, or spring, I go out into the garden and I do a Pilates routine under the full moon. So
Oh,
yeah, that's my one thing I love doing as well.
that is just gorgeous. I love that so much. Oh, I love it. So are there any big challenges or any standout moments that you've faced where you thought, oh, I cannot get through this, and then you managed to obviously work your way through, and how did you overcome that?
Wow. Okay. So, big challenges. I mean, life's a challenge
It
daily,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah, especially as
Um,
a mum.
yeah. So, well, I think that, yeah, I mean, multiple different challenges. So
Mm,
obviously, having my children, like multiple challenges through having the children. My dad passing away was one of my biggest challenges in my life.
mm,
I don't think I handled that very well though. So, as a 19-year-old girl, so that's probably not the best inspiration, but
mm,
that was still obviously a big challenge.
mm.
And then, yeah, I think when challenges come, so there's been a few in the last year, a few up and
Mhm.
downs. And what I always think is life comes in seasons. And
Yeah.
when I'm struggling with, um, when there's something going on or a challenge at the time, then I do my best to manage it. Like sometimes it can be overwhelming, sometimes it can be really stressful,
Mm,
and you try your hardest not to get stressed or overwhelmed, but it just happens sometimes.
yeah.
And you can talk about it with I try and talk about things with my other half a lot of the time, if I can. But my main thing is that life comes in seasons, and that will pass, and the challenge, you will overcome the challenge one way or another, and it will pass soon, and then a different season, a lighter season, spring or summer, will come around. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how I look at it, so that I
Yeah.
don't kind of try and dwell on it too much.
I love that so much. I think I like the I don't know if you've heard of the quote, this too shall pass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this too shall pass.
Yeah,
And
that's
life
it.
comes in seasons, definitely. And
Yeah.
it does. And, those seasons can last for a long time, or those seasons can last for a really short time. And it's the same kind of postnatally as well. You
Mm,
know, as you see mums who are really struggling after having baby, either from a sleep point of view or from, a reflux point of view or anything really, or pain, um, or babies feeding or crying a lot or really unsettled or just not sleeping. And again, it's it's a season, and at the time
Yeah.
it feels horrendous. It feels like it is going to last forever.
Mm.
Um, but it doesn't. It passes, and that's not easy to hear or to say. Probably not the right thing to say either to somebody at that time. But
Yeah.
that's what I always think is when I'm stuck in something, is that yes, it's tough at this moment. I don't know what I'm doing, but it will pass.
Yeah. And on the flip side as well, you can think that about the positive times
I
and
know.
remind yourself to really enjoy them and embrace them. Like this is gonna
Yeah.
pass. It's not gonna be forever. And my kid's not
Yeah.
gonna want to cuddle me forever and or say that you look like a princess every time I put makeup on.
Yeah, mine has. Oh, actually, she might have done that once. That's definitely a boy thing.
Yeah.
My friend's little boy has boys as well, and he said that to her. I was like, mine have not said this to me.
Amazing. They're so
That is
like
so
we're raising
lovely.
them to be gentlemen. They really are true gents.
Oh, that's
So
so lovely.
we're going to do some quick fire questions
Oh,
now. So we'll just do them really quick and then we'll wrap it up. So the first one is, do you have any rituals that you do daily?
so my daily rituals will be my morning routine, and like I have my and with me and my other half have been together 10 years, and bear in mind he doesn't make people coffees, rarely, but occasionally he does, and he still does not know that I don't drink coffee in the morning. Like sometimes, okay, like I think it was last week he made me a coffee, and I'm like, I don't drink, I haven't had a coffee in the morning in ever. But yeah, so my morning ritual, and I'm hoping to add the early wake up in, but is to get up, have my green tea with lemon and honey, and I have to have that every single morning.
Oh, it just sounds delicious. Green tea does not work for me. I am definitely a coffee
Oh,
girl.
I love green tea. I don't know why. I just can't have coffee in the morning. And apparently you shouldn't have coffee if you wait an hour after you're waking up before you have coffee. It reduces your cortisol levels.
Oh, there's so many things about that. That has just been debunked apparently. But I
Oh
honestly,
no.
there's so many, like there's one study that says this and one that says that. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's the thing. There is so much information out there.
that's it.
But anyway, so you've just got to do what is right for
Yeah,
you and is better for you.
amazing.
So my thing is green tea.
Yeah, that's lovely. Describe what wellness means to you.
Okay, so wellness means feeling feeling happy inside. So from the inside, as cheesy as it sounds, but feeling happy from the inside out. That when I know when I'm eating well, when I'm sleeping well-ish, more so eating well, and I feel strong, I feel whole inside, and then having that so that then it helps you that kind of mentally as well. So yeah, just that feeling of inside to outside, which then goes into your mind. Does that make sense? I didn't really say that very well, but
I love that. It's inside to outside, just shining from the inside out. Like I
yeah, that
love
light shining,
that.
that
Yeah.
light kind of shining out. Like when I'm eating, I know when I'm eating well, and yeah, drinking really well and
Mm,
things like that. And exercising and
mm,
getting outside and all of those things that wellness is like
mm.
to is different for everybody. And
Yeah.
there is so much out there now in the wellness sector that it is a mind boggle. Whether
Yeah.
it's a toxic free life, or the like the ancestral diet, or
Mhm.
whether it's eating 30 different plants, and
Yeah.
all there are so many different things, but everyone is different, everyone feels different, and
Mhm.
whatever feels good for you. And when I'm eating and yeah, doing all those things that work for my body, I can, and I'm
Yeah.
exercising, I can feel it kind of glow from the inside out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is different for everyone. And, I think there's a general rule, cut out the crap processed
A
food.
hundred percent.
That's the
Yeah.
general rule. But apart from
Yeah.
that, I think different things do work for different people and at different
Yeah.
phases of life that you're in as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I think that is my biggest thing, I
Yeah.
suppose, is I don't touch processed food rarely,
Mm.
as much as I can. It's probably 80-20 because, occasionally I'll
Yeah.
sneak the kids popcorn. But but it is, yeah, like the processed thing is the biggest thing for me. My other half, he is the opposite. He's like he could just live off processed food. And
Yeah.
then I've turned him around, and I like throughout January, I said to him, stop eating. Like I just made him, I make him food. Obviously, he hasn't cooked one meal in 10 years, but I like stopped him snacking, and when he's at work, stopped him eating kind of like processed stuff. And then he
Wow.
had one thing, I think he had like a pizza or something, 3 weeks later, and he felt terrible. And he said to me,
Wow.
he's like, yeah, he was like, I need to stay on this no processed food
Yeah.
because it is awful what it does and how it makes you feel. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel so much stronger, so much clearer, and when you're not eating
Mm.
processed food.
Do you follow a particular diet then, or a type of diet, or base your meals around a type of
Yeah,
thing?
so I was kind of, so I have been doing the ancestral diet since
Mhm.
January,
Yes.
and eating kind of uh, grass-fed meat, grass-fed butter, and really kind of restricting, well, not restricting, because it wasn't actually that hard for me, because it turns out that's kind of what I eat anyway. I think I'm
Ah.
probably more of a Mediterranean diet. So
Yeah.
I do eat a lot of pasta. Well, I don't actually anymore, but like I do like kind of like pasta and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But I haven't been eating pasta for the last 2 months. I've just the only kind of I had, and I stopped eating bread. But I think it needs to be kind of balanced, doesn't it? Kind of 80
Yeah.
20, because it is, everyone is different and your families are different, and it's how it fits in
Yeah.
with your family. But I would, from a kind of like meat, veg, yeah, that kind of point of view, definitely. But it's a mixture of, I suppose, the ancestral and the Mediterranean diet.
It sounds delicious. Okay,
Mm.
so just two more questions. So what message would you like to send to our listeners? What if they want to do what you're doing, or if they're feeling stuck? What would you like to share?
Um, is to believe in yourself, and what I said earlier, perfectionism, don't wait for perfectionism. Perfectionism doesn't exist. You are in charge of your life. You have everything within you to be whatever you want to be, do whatever you want to do. Just do it. Like the world is changing so much.
Mhm.
The digital world now means that you can do absolutely everything. The only thing I will say is be real.
Yeah.
Don't don't give false information um for the sake of putting stuff out there and
Mm.
visibility. Like just be real, be you,
Mhm.
and do whatever you want to do. Don't wait for perfectionism. Believe in yourself, have the confidence to do whatever you do. And yeah.
I love that. That's really nice. I think it's an important message to share out. And then
Yeah.
how can our listeners find you?
Yes, excellent. So I very sillily, don't know why, that's a cool word, sillily, have multiple Instagram accounts
Oh gosh.
because it's a mind boggle to keep it going. But so you can follow me at Katie Angeloni Physio. You can follow me at Motion and Me. Or you can follow me on LinkedIn at Katie Angeloni Physio. So on LinkedIn, I do a lot of work with businesses, helping mums get back to work, um, helping mums get back to work and feel confident in the workplace after having a baby. And then on Instagram, it's more for kind of looking after mums. I do a concierge service where we do one-to-one, like I can work with you for a year and we can get nutritionists, postnatal um, therapists, exercise rehab, we can do career support, mental health support. So I do that as well. So I'm also going to do a free webinar for postnatal mums in the next couple of weeks. So if you would like to jump on, like free, well, for anyone really, if anyone's struggling kind of with coffee leaking, worries about their pelvic floor, worries about their C-section, or even if you haven't had a baby and you want to know about your pelvic floor, then this is, yeah, come along. It'll be a free webinar and love to have as many people there as possible. Um, um, so yeah, I'll put a link to that in
Yeah,
here. Yeah, I'll
I'll
send you
share
the
a
link.
link. Yeah, I'll put a link down in the show notes below.
Or
And
actually, yeah, no, if someone comments, and then I can send them a link. That'd be good.
yeah, thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so delightful. It's been
It's
great
been a
having a chat.
pleasure. Oh, it's been lovely. To all our listeners out there, don't forget to tune in next week for our next chat, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.